Hello everyone, this is Mayuk Mazumdar and I'm back with another exciting session. So let's proceed.
In my previous two sessions, I introduced you to some of the components of Flask. So proceeding with Flask, let me introduce you to the next component we have in hand, that's cookies. A cookie is stored on a client's computer in the form of a text file. Its purpose is to remember and track data pertaining to a client's usage for better visitor experience and site statistics. A request object contains a cookies attribute. It is a dictionary object of all the cookie variables and their corresponding values a client has transmitted. In addition to it, a cookie also stores its expiry time, path, and domain name of the site. In Flask, cookies are set on response object. We use the makeResponse function to get response object from return value of a view function. After that, we can use the setCookie function of a response object to store a cookie. Reading back a cookie is also easy. The get method of request cookies attribute is used to read a cookie. So in this example, what I have done, I have defined a route with slash that renders my index.html. As I have said in my last session that the HTML component should be stored in a folder named as template, and over there you will get to see that I have this index.html. So this index.html, what it does, it will in the form action it will call the endpoint slash set cookie and it accepts the user ID. Now another route is a set cookie. Now the form over here is posted to the slash set cookie URL. The associated view function sets a cookie name user ID and renders another page. Over here the cookie name will be set as the user ID, as the key, and the value will be set. Means using the set cookie I'll be setting the cookie. Now the readCookie.html over here that I have, it contains a hyperlink to another view function, that is the getCookie, which reads back and displays the cookie value in the browser. So let me run and then you will get to see the example. Now I ran the application and it's running on my port 5000. Now if I make a request to my localhost port 5000, over here I'll be asked to enter the user ID. If I enter it to be suppose 90, or maybe the user ID is 99, and if I click on login, you will get to see that something happened and I am redirected back to the get cookie. Now I must check that you can also check that whether the cookie have been set or not. So by pressing Ctrl Shift and I, I'll be basically inspecting the page components. So over here you'll get to see in the application section in the cookies, under cookies, see for my localhost 5000 a new entry is being made, and over here you'll get to see that the user ID for the corresponding user ID, that over here I have set the cookie, the corresponding value of the user is now being displayed over here. So the value is 19 and it is now set in my cookies. Now if I click on get cookie, I will be redirected to another page which will from here extract the cookie value of the corresponding key of the cookie from here and will display it on my web page. So you will get to see how that's being done. So when a request to the get cookie method is being done, so it finds out from the cookies, it extracts the value of the cookie corresponding to the username user ID or corresponding to the key user ID, and when it gets the value it returns with the h1 tag welcome that value. So let me show you another example over here. Suppose I am setting the value of the cookie to be the average student. Now if I log in, over here you'll get to see that the value of the cookie have been updated. Now when I just click on get cookie, I'll get to see from here it has been extracted and it has been displayed as welcome the average student. So that was all about cookies and how you can set or extract cookies using the Flask. Now the next we have in hand is the Flask session. Now just like as we can set cookies, just like as we've explored cookies, session is also one quite important feature of Flask, or it's quite important feature in our day-to-day life. Like cookies, session data is stored on client. Session is the time interval when a client logs into the server and logs out of it. The data which is needed to be held across the session is stored in the client browser. A session with each client is assigned a session ID. The session data is stored on top of cookies and the server signs them cryptographically. For this encryption, a Flask application needs a defined secret key. Session object is also a dictionary object containing key value pair of session variables and associated values, just like cookies. Now, let me first uncomment my code snippet and explain to you that how I have done. So, over here, I have imported the basic ritual. I have set my secret key to my obsession Bella Ciao, Bella Ciao, Bella Ciao, Ciao, Ciao. It's just a secret key, no need to concern about that. This will be used for the encryption by the server. Now, here the following code is a simple demonstration of how session works in Flask. This /URL will simply ask me that I am not logged in. I must click somewhere to log in. Now, when it happens, so the form action or the action that will happen is /login method will be /login endpoint will be called. When it's being done, so as user browses to the /login, the login view function will be called because it gets called to the by default, as I said, the get method, and it opens up this request form that I have mentioned over here. So I'll be checking whether the session has the value of the username stored in it or not. If not, then I'll be returning the login user ID, where I'll be accepting the username and the corresponding submit, and there will be a submit button which will be used to log in. So let me first run my application, then I will get a better picture of what the things that are happening. Now I'll make a request to my localhost 5000. Before that, I'm clearing all my cookies and my action over here is done. So now I've made a request to my localhost 5000. So this endpoint, you will get to see that I have just rendered that you are not logged in. You are not click here to log in. Okay, and when I click on it, what happens is a new the /login endpoint is now being called. Now it checks that whether my session has the username parameter stored or not. Over here, since I have not done anything, so nothing is stored. That's why it's returning me this form action. Now when I click on anything on my form action, suppose admin, and then if I click on login, see, I'll get to see that logged in as admin, and when I click on logout, I'll be redirected back to localhost 5000. Now let me traverse you programmatically that what happened. Now just as you got to see that when I made a request to my localhost 5000, I was being asked to log in. When that happened, when I gave my username as admin, so and I clicked on the submit button, so this logged in endpoint have been called. Now this is my logged in endpoint over here. So what it does, it store so when I put the value admin, so it was being sent via my request body to this method or to this URL. So from there I am storing your session's username from as the value of the requested form username that I have just entered. So now I have stored my the value in my session, and now I am extracting in this variable username the value of the value corresponding to the key username that have been stored in my session. So if we consider dictionary, the value of the key username will be now stored in my this variable username. And now I am returning another HTML that is logged in as this username for here that you got to see that admin. Okay, sorry. Now let me show you that if I log in as admin and then click on login, over here you'll get to see the logged in as admin. See, over here the username have been fetched from the session, and another button you will get to see that logout to that asks to log out. Now when I click on logout, the you'll get to see that I am redirected back to this page, and over here in this method our call is being made to this logout method. So what it does, it removes the username value from the session and it redirects me to index or this slash method. So this is what I have done to show you how this session works in Flask, means how you can operate its session using Flask. So till now we have explored how we can use leverage the cookies and the session and handle sessions using Flask. The next we have is the redirect and headers. So Flask Plus has a redirect function. When called, it returns a response object and redirects the user to another target location with a specific status code. Over here you'll get to see that I have redirected to at various times. Over here you'll get to see that I have redirected. So at various times I will redirect the user as our business use case, but we have not explained about it. So here is the explanation. So it returns a response object and redirects the user to another target location with specified status code. Now the prototype of the redirect function is shown below over here. So the Flask.redirect, and in parentheses I must give him the location, the status code and the response. So in the above function, location parameter is the URL, where over here the location is the URL where response should be redirected. The status code is sent to browser's header, and by default it is sent as 302, that is found or success, not success, just found. And the response parameter is used to instantiate response. The following status codes are the standard ones. HTTP 300 stands for multiple choices, HTTP 301 stands for moved permanently, 302 for found, 303 for see other, 304 for not modified, 305 for use proxy, 306 for reserve, and 307 for temporary redirect. So these are some of the following status codes that you can send using this while using the redirect module. So let me show you how various errors can be triggered or handled using Flask. So in my code snippet, first let me uncomment my code snippet. I will explain you the components of the code snippet first, and then I will showcase you the use case. So over here, as I have defined an application, and then in the slash endpoint I am rendering the login.html. So what it does, let me show you. It simply accepts the username, and then there it has a submit button. When the user fills the text, the username, and then clicks on submit button, so the form action redirects to /login endpoint. So what it does in the /login, it checks if the request method type is post, and if the name is equal to admin, then it returns redirect for success. If not, it redirects for failure. So when it redirects for failure, you will get to see that retry logging as admin and over the URL to login again, and when the success happens, it will just showcase you how logged in successfully. So this is how I'll leverage or code it. Now let me run my server, make a call to localhost 5000. You'll get to see that I am being asked to enter my username. So if I let my username be Mayuk, and I am making a submit or a call request, I'll get to see that it has failed, and over here the message is retry logging as admin, and click here to login. Over here, click here to login. Now if I login as admin and then click on the submit button, then you will get to see that I have logged in successfully. Now this is a sample use case. Now I'll be showing you how we can use this abort with the status code of 401, that is failed or error. So instead of redirecting it to the failure endpoint / failure, I am now redirecting it to, means I am now giving an abort. I am using the abort function of Flask and using it with the status code of 401. So let me just save my code since it's running on debug mode. So it will be now restarted again. So let me go to my browser, make a call to localhost 5000 again, and this time similarly I'll be using Mayuk as my username. And if I click on submit, I'll get to see that I have got a message unauthorized. The server could not verify that you are authorized to access the URL. That is because I have used this abort function with a code of 401, which stands for unauthenticated. Now Flux in Flux, the code parameter means the Flux has class this abort Flux class has abort function with an error code which accepts an error code. Now the code parameter takes one of the following values, that is a 400, 401, 403, 46, 415, 429. Now all this stands for something, so you just can read about it. Now using that code I can abort the process. Now you got to see that I have made a slight change in this login function, and I've used this abort method with the status code of 401 that stands for unauthenticated. So that's how you can you can raise errors, or you can use this abort method from Flask. Now the next key feature is message flashing. A good GUI-based application provides feedback to a user about the interactions. For example, the desktop applications use dialog or message box, and JavaScript uses alerts for similar purpose. Generating such informative message is easy in Flask web applications. Flashing system of Flask framework makes it possible to create a message in one view and render it in a view function called next. A Flux module contains the flash method. It passes a message to the next request, which generally is a template. So it's basically represented in this format. Let me write it down for you. Flash, and it accepts two parameters. One is message and the next is category. So what here, the message parameter is actual message to be flashed, and category parameter is optional. It can be either error, info, or warning. In order to remove message from session, template calls the get flashed messages. Now these both parameters are optional in the get flashed messages. Let me show it down to you. Now this module can be called, and it accepts two arguments. One is with categories and the next is category filters with categories, and the next is category filter. So this is what is done. It is done to remove message from session. The template calls the get flash message. Now both parameters are optional. The first parameter is a tuple if received messages are having a category. The second parameter is useful to display only specific message. Let us now see an example demonstrating the flashing mechanism in Flask. In the following code, the /URL displays link to the login page with no message to the flash. Now let me first uncomment my code snippet and then demonstrate this. Over here I have defined an application, and I have defined a secret key as random string, and in this end/endpoint, what it does, it redirects me to it renders the flash index HTML. So this is basically a simple HTML. Over here, in the code snippet, just let me close all this. Now over here the render template will the link will read to to the flash index.html page. Now the URL for login over here will lead a user to the /login URL, which displays a login form. When submitted, the login view application verifies a username and password accordingly and flashes a success message or an error message. So you get to see that at first when I make a request to the slash endpoint, now the Flask index HTML will be rendered. Once rendered, what it will do, it will showcase me some of the print statements, H1s that I have used, H1 and H2, and then will ask me whether I whether I would like to log in or not. If I would like to log in, then it will redirect me to this /login endpoint. Now the login endpoint, what it does, it means it checks whether the type is post or not. If the request.form in the name is admin or the password is admin, then if not, then it gives me an error message. Then it assigns the value of the error to be invalid username or password, please try again. Otherwise, it flashes me a message that you were successfully logged in and redirects me to slash or index endpoint. Now if not, then it redirects me to the /login.html. Let me see what this /login.html does. It accepts the username and the password from me. Now let me first run it and show you the functionality, and then I have uncommented. Yeah, I have uncommented up. So then I'll explain it to you. So let me make a call to my localhost 5000. It says that the average student session Flask message flashing example. So what it comes from? It comes from the flash index.html, the average student session Flask message flashing example. Now it will ask you, do you want to log in? If I click on login, then it will call the /login endpoint over here. Now if the requested method is post, then it will check whether the name is admin or not. If not, then it will do so. Otherwise, it will render the /login.html, that in our case that it has done. So when I will give my password to be something like that. Now if I click on login, it will, now what it does, it checks that whether the name is admin or not. No, I have not given my admin name as admin. Then if this is the case, then it assigns the value that invalid username or password, please try again, to this error variable, and then what it does, it calls the /login.html and returns the error value as the error message that it has just printed. Now let me go back to /login.html. What it does, it checks if it's error, then it displays the error over here. Otherwise, it asks me to give my username and the password to login. So similarly over here, as you can see that I have been said that it's an error message, means invalid username or password. Now I must try it again. So if I click on the username as admin and the password as admin as well, and if I log in, then I'll get to see that you were successfully logged in, and this is coming as a flash message. So in this manner, you can get flashed messages in Flask or in Python or in a web application. So let me now bring you to the last topic for today's session, that is the file uploading. Now, handling file upload in Flask is very easy. It needs an HTML prompt with its type attribute set to multipart /form data, posting the file to a URL. The URL handler fetches the file from the request.files object and saves it to the desired location. Each uploaded file is first saved in a temporary location on the server before it is actually saved to its ultimate location. Name of the destination file can be hard-coded or can be obtained from file name property of the request.file within bracket file object. However, it is recommended to obtain a secure version of it using the secure file name function. It is possible to define the path of the default upload folder and maximum size of the upload file in configuration setting of Flask object. So Let me first uncomment my code snippet and show you that what I have done. I've defined the application name, and then I have one route that is /upload. What it does, it renders the upload.html. It's a very basic HTML file which asks me to the eng type is set to multi-word /form data, and it will ask me to there is an input type of file with the name as file, and there is a button as submit. When a user selects the file and clicks on the button submit, when done, the uploader module is being called, or the uploader function. Now uploader route, when the uploader route is being called, the uploader file function is now being accessed. So it checks that if the requested method is post, then it's from the request argument or request body. What it does, it extracts the file name and then it saves the file name. Since I have not given any specific path explicitly, it will so by default store in my in the current working directory of my application. So let me run my application and will show you. As you can see that my application is running on port 5000. So sorry, I may have not. Oh yeah, I should make a request to /upload endpoint, not just the /endpoint. Where you will get to see that from the HTML that has been rendered, that it asks me to type, there is an input type file which asks me to choose a file, and then when I will choose so if I do so, suppose I am choosing as my this image as my input, and when I have done, I can click on the submit button. When I will click on the submit button, the /uploader module will be called, and let's see what happens. It shows me that the file have been uploaded successfully. Over here you'll get to see that the file have been uploaded successfully, and this my logo.png that was not present over here till now is now present in my folder location. Now I can show you this. Similarly, I've just deleted. Over here my file does not exist. Now I'm making a call again to my upload module. I'm choosing this image for uploading. Once I click on the submit button, my file upload successfully comes up here, and this image comes up over here in my existing path. I can specify the file path to let my Flask application know that where you have to store the file. So this is how the upload module can be used to upload files in the server end. So this is the few features that was part of today's discussion. The next session will be the last session on Flask. Thank you. Have a nice day.